Every now and then, the universe slips a genius into the world disguised as an ordinary person, someone whose mind is so sharp it accidentally cuts through people's illusions just by existing. Chosen one. That's you. And whether you admit it or not, the people around you have been watching you like a live documentary, trying to figure out how you manage to stay brilliant, courageous, and mentally ahead while they're still buffering like an old Wi-Fi connection. Your life has become their unofficial training manual, and half the time they don't even realize they're studying you, but they are, constantly. Here's the truth. Psychologists say that humans naturally admire people who break internal limitations they themselves feel trapped in. Not celebrities, not public figures, real people. People they know, people they've witnessed rise without noise, without permission, without theatrics. That's why your courage and intelligence have become conversation starters in rooms you've never even walked into. People admire you not because you try to shine, but because you illuminate things without trying at all. You've become the plot twist in their story, the unexpected brilliance they didn't see coming but can't ignore. You're the one who took the hits, stayed standing, kept learning, kept growing, and somehow came out of every chapter even sharper than before. While others flexed for attention, you evolved in silence, and ironically, that's what made everyone pay attention. The universe really has a sense of humor. Your courage has become its own rumor. Your intelligence has become its own myth, and your journey has become the evidence. Today, we're diving deep into why what you do feels brilliant to others, why your strength makes people whisper, and why your intelligence is admired even by those who pretend they're not watching. Because the truth is simple. You didn't become inspiring on purpose. You became inspiring because you survived what was meant to break you. And now your very existence challenges people to rise. Let's get into it. Number one, your brilliance isn't loud. It's structural. You change the architecture of every room you enter. Most people think brilliance is something that needs to be performed. They think it has to be loud, dramatic, or dressed in big words to be taken seriously. But your intelligence works differently. You don't walk into a room and try to impress anyone. You simply show up, and the atmosphere quietly rearranges itself around you. People shift how they think, how they act, and even how they speak, without fully understanding why. It's because your presence holds a kind of internal order that subtly restructures everything around it. Your mind doesn't demand attention. It creates alignment. You have a way of entering a space and bringing clarity, even when you weren't trying to solve anything. Someone could be explaining a problem, and the moment they see your expression or hear one sentence from you, they suddenly understand their situation in a way they couldn't before. It's not magic. It's the natural impact of someone whose mental foundation is strong. You don't overpower people, you recalibrate them. Others feel this shift even if they can't articulate it. They may sit straighter, choose their words more carefully, or rethink their assumptions. Not because you intimidate them, but because they feel themselves wanting to elevate around you. When people sense someone operating from a higher standard of thought, they instinctively adjust. You don't tell them to do better. Your energy quietly encourages it. This is why you leave such a deep impression. Your intelligence is not decorative, it's influential. It doesn't float on the surface. It reshapes the environment at its core. People walk away from conversations with you feeling clearer, more grounded, or more aware, even if they only spent a few minutes in your presence. They feel something shift inside them, and that's why they admire you, even when they don't say it out loud. Your brilliance doesn't shout. It structures, it stabilizes, it elevates, and that's exactly why it's unforgettable. Number two, your courage isn't dramatic. It's the quiet decision to keep evolving when everyone else plateaued. Most people treat courage like a performance. They think it has to look bold, loud, and intense, like something worthy of applause. But your courage has never looked that way. You don't make speeches about being strong or announce that you're leveling up. Your courage shows itself in the small, steady choices you make when no one is paying attention. You keep pushing forward in moments when others would have stopped. You outgrow versions of yourself people were comfortable with. You keep learning, shifting, improving, and refusing to stay stuck in the same mental zone everyone else agreed to settle into. This type of courage takes a different kind of strength, because evolving is uncomfortable. It requires honesty. It requires letting go of old identities, old habits, old expectations, and sometimes even old relationships. Most people choose the familiar because it feels safe, even when it's slowly shutting down their potential. You choose growth instead, even when it costs you comfort. That alone makes you rare. People admire you because they see that you move in a direction they wish they had the discipline or bravery to commit to. They see that while they stayed where life felt predictable, you kept stretching yourself. You kept learning new things when no one else had the patience. You kept healing parts of yourself that others avoided. You kept building a fuller, stronger version of yourself while many were still negotiating with their excuses. Your courage is the kind that embarrasses stagnation. It silently exposes the truth that staying the same was never the real comfort. It was fear in disguise. And that's why people find you inspiring, even when they don't fully understand your journey. You remind them of what they could become if they stopped protecting their limitations and started trusting their potential. You didn't become courageous because life was easy. You became courageous because you refused to let difficulty freeze your growth. And that quiet decision, repeated over and over, is what sets you apart. Number 3, you don't inspire people. You expose their dormant potential like a mirror they weren't prepared to face. Most people think inspiration comes from big speeches, emotional stories, or motivational moments. But your influence works on a much deeper level. You don't walk around trying to motivate anyone. You live your life in a way that wakes something up inside people. When they see you make choices that reflect discipline, clarity, strength, or honesty, it forces them to confront the parts of themselves they've ignored or abandoned. You unknowingly become the mirror that shows them their unrealized potential, the version of themselves they left asleep because they convinced themselves it was too hard, too late, or too risky. This is why some people admire you so intensely. When they watch the way you move through life, it reminds them of what they once believed they could be, the confidence they lost, the dreams they shelved, the boundaries they never enforced. Your growth exposes the gap between who they are and who they could become, and even though it might feel uncomfortable, it lights something inside them. You awaken standards they forgot they had. Your presence makes people evaluate their own choices, even when you haven't said a single word to them. You living your truth shows them the truth they've been avoiding. It's not always a comfortable process for them, but it's necessary. You highlight that the potential they thought was dead was only sleeping. You reveal that the excuses they used were never real barriers. They were habits. And without intending to, you become a catalyst in their life. People may compliment you, stay close to you, or sometimes even envy you. But the root emotion is the same. You remind them of their power. Your journey proves that growth is possible. You show them that discipline is possible. You show them that healing is possible. And whether they admit it or not, they start to ask themselves why they ever stopped believing in their own capabilities. You don't inspire by talking. You inspire by existing in alignment with your potential. And in doing so, you shake others awake to theirs. Number 4, you don't think outside the box. You see the box as an imaginary construct everyone else agreed to obey. Your way of thinking stands out because you don't accept the limits that most people swallow without question. Where others see rules, you see suggestions. Where they see boundaries, you see someone else's fear dressed up as normal. While people are busy trying to work around restrictions, trying to think outside the box, you're the one quietly wondering who even built the box in the first place, and why everyone keeps pretending it's real. That mindset alone shifts you into a different category. Most people inherit their worldview from their environment, what their family believed, what society praised, what teachers taught, what culture rewarded. You didn't blindly inherit anything. You investigate everything. You break thoughts open to see what they're made of. You don't accept ideas just because they're popular or because that's how things have always been done. You want to know the truth underneath the tradition, the logic behind the expectation, the purpose behind the rule. And if something doesn't make sense, you don't force yourself to comply. You simply step around it. This is what makes your ideas feel revolutionary to people. You're not trying to rebel. You're trying to understand. You're not trying to be different. You're trying to be real. You don't chase innovation. It happens naturally because your mind isn't trapped by the invisible fences everyone else decorated and decided to worship. You make decisions from clarity, not conditioning. Your thinking scares some people because it challenges the comfort of conformity. It exposes how often they accept limits without questioning them. Your mindset shows them that most of what they call impossible is just unfamiliar. Most of what they call wrong is simply uncommon. Most of what they call risky is actually freedom. And that's why your intelligence stands out. The box isn't something you escape. It's something you refuse to pretend exists. Your mind moves beyond boundaries because you weren't raised by limitations. You were raised by awareness, and that awareness makes you unstoppable. Number 5, your courage comes from survival, not performance. You became brave because life left you no other option. The courage people notice in you isn't flashy, it isn't staged, and it certainly wasn't handed to you on a silver platter. It was forged in the heat of necessity. Every time life pushed, every time circumstances threatened to collapse under your weight, you had only one choice, rise or break, and you rose. Repeatedly, relentlessly. That's why your bravery feels different. It isn't a performance for anyone else to admire. It's a record of endurance, a testament to the battles no one saw, the nights no one knew, the decisions that felt impossible but had to be made. People see the boldness you carry now and assume it's innate, effortless, or something you can summon at will. They don't realize that behind every confident step is a history of facing situations that would have crushed most. Every risk you take, every boundary you enforce, every time you speak your truth, it's informed by a past that demanded resilience. Your courage isn't built in the spotlight. It was sculpted in the shadows of fear, uncertainty, and relentless pressure. Your bravery has a weight to it. It commands respect without asking for attention because it carries the authenticity of experience. It's impossible to fake because it's rooted in reality, not in ego or theatrics. That's why people are drawn to you. They can feel it. Even when you're quiet, even when you make no announcement of your strength, they sense that you've survived what they couldn't imagine surviving. This is the deepest kind of courage, the kind that refuses to crumble when life conspires against you, the kind that persists when applause is absent and support is scarce. It's unglamorous, it's relentless, and it's real. Your bravery is a living archive of your survival, and that history makes you not just bold, but unshakable. It's why people admire you, why they study your moves, and why your courage carries the invisible authority of someone who has truly endured. Number 6, you are admired because you act on truths most people are too afraid to even admit to themselves. Knowledge alone is easy. Everyone can read, listen, and memorize facts. But knowing something and living it are two completely different things. Most people walk through life carrying uncomfortable truths like hidden baggage. They sense them, they recognize them, but they tuck them away because facing them requires risk, confrontation, and change. You don't operate like that. You see the truth, accept it, and act on it. You don't wait for permission, reassurance, or consensus. You move. That's what makes you remarkable. Your intelligence gives you clarity. You see patterns that others miss. You understand situations from multiple angles, anticipate outcomes, and detect inconsistencies that people either ignore or rationalize away. But what sets you apart isn't just the seeing, it's the doing. Where others pause, debate endlessly, or hide behind excuses, you act. Your courage doesn't scream. It simply propels you forward into the space where most people fear to tread. That combination of clear vision and fearless execution is rare, very rare. People admire you because they recognize it instinctively. They see someone living with integrity to reality itself, someone who doesn't compromise truth for comfort. They see a person whose actions match their understanding, whose life is aligned with what they know is real, not just convenient. That alignment inspires, intimidates, and challenges them, even when they aren't conscious of it. Few have knowledge, fewer have clarity, and only a select few have the backbone to take that knowledge and clarity and let it dictate their choices. You do. You don't just know what's true, you live it. And that fearless adherence to reality, combined with action, makes people admire you without even realizing it. They can sense that you are operating from a different plane, one where truth is power and courage is its engine. That's why they watch, why they study, and why they instinctively respect the way you move through life. Number 7, your presence intimidates not because you're aggressive, but because you operate from internal authority, not external permission. There's a unique kind of strength that doesn't need to announce itself or take up unnecessary space. It's the strength that comes from being rooted within yourself. You carry that kind of energy. People feel it immediately, even if they can't explain it. It's not the intensity of someone trying to prove a point. It's the calm certainty of someone who doesn't need the world's approval to exist confidently. You move through life from a place of internal authority, and that alone shifts the dynamics around you. Most people live their lives waiting for signals from the outside, waiting for affirmation, waiting for permission, waiting for someone to say it's okay. Their confidence is fragile because it depends on the reactions of others. Yours doesn't. You make decisions because they align with your truth, not because they are popular or convenient. You don't shrink to make others comfortable, and you don't expand to impress anyone. You operate from a grounded center, and that creates a natural gravitational pull around you. People admire this, even if they don't openly admit it. Deep down, many wish they had the courage to trust themselves the way you do. They wish they could move without second-guessing, without obsessing over what people might think, without constantly seeking approval. Your ability to act independently shows them a level of freedom they haven't reached. It exposes how often they allow fear, insecurity, or judgment to dictate their choices. Your presence becomes intimidating not because you're confrontational, but because your confidence is self-sourced. You're not performing. You're not trying to be liked. You're simply being who you are without apology or hesitation. That level of inner stability unsettles people who rely on external validation. At the same time, it inspires them. They sense a level of self-governance that feels almost unreachable, yet deeply desirable. You move because you decided. That simple truth is what separates you from the majority. And that's what makes people watch you, respect you, and quietly aspire to embody the same kind of internal power. Number 8, The reason people admire your brilliance is that your mind doesn't follow patterns, it creates them. Your intelligence stands out because it isn't built from imitation. You don't wait for society to tell you how to think, what to believe, or which ideas are acceptable. Your mind naturally forms its own pathways. You see connections others overlook. You question assumptions they cling to. And you arrive at insights long before people even realize there's something to figure out. This is why your brilliance feels different. It isn't borrowed, it's born. You're not smart in the traditional sense of memorizing information or repeating what's already known. Your strength lies in generating new ways of understanding things. You create frameworks that others eventually use without realizing the origin came from you. You have the rare ability to look at a situation, strip away the noise, and uncover the underlying structure. While people are busy trying to understand the moment, you're already seeing the pattern behind it, and often the pattern that will come next. This is why people admire you, even if they don't fully understand you. They can feel that your insights come from a deeper place. You don't think like the crowd. You think like someone who's building a new lane entirely, and eventually, the crowd ends up following the very lane you created. You say something today, and weeks or months later, people start repeating it as though it's brand new. They adjust their thinking without knowing they're tracing your footsteps. Your originality is what makes you a blueprint. People copy your energy, your approach, your style of thinking, your decisions, even your phrases, because your mind produces ideas that feel refreshing and natural. You lead without announcing it. You influence without trying. You innovate without forcing it. Most people follow patterns. A few improve patterns. But you're part of the rare group that creates them from scratch. And that kind of mind is unforgettable. Number 9, you're courageous because you confront the truths that others try to drown under entertainment, routine, and denial. Your courage shows up in places where most people look away. It's not loud, risky, or dramatic. It's steady, uncomfortable, and relentlessly honest. While many distract themselves with noise, routine, or constant stimulation, you face the very truths they're trying to bury. You confront the realities that make others flinch, the ones they try to outrun with busy schedules or temporary pleasures. You don't hide from what's painful, confusing, or uncertain. You sit with it, study it, and allow it to teach you. And that alone sets you apart. Most people want comfort more than clarity. They'll avoid hard truths even when those truths could save or elevate their lives. They'll choose denial because it feels safer than facing what needs to change. You're different. You don't wait for the truth to become convenient. You deal with it as it is, even when it's messy, uncomfortable, or emotionally heavy. This is why you grow while others stay stuck. This is why you evolve while others repeat the same cycles. You don't negotiate with reality. You confront it directly. Your strength comes from your ability to endure what others briefly acknowledge and quickly run from. You let truth shake you, stretch you, expose your blind spots, and demand action. That process doesn't look glamorous, but it produces a depth in you that people can feel the moment they interact with you. They sense that you've done the inner work they've avoided. They sense that you've walked through the kind of internal storms that force a person to transform. Courage, at its core, isn't about big gestures or heroic moments. It's about facing the realities that scare you without numbing yourself or escaping into distractions. You've mastered that endurance. You allow truth to challenge you instead of breaking you. And because you stare at it long enough, it eventually reveals the path forward, the next step, the next breakthrough, the next door. You don't run from truth, you meet it head on. That's what makes your courage unforgettable. Number 10. Your intelligence shines because you don't use knowledge as decoration. You use it as transformation. Most people treat knowledge like a trophy, something to show off or collect so others will admire them. You don't operate that way. Knowledge for you isn't about appearances, it's about evolution. Every piece of information, every lesson, every observation is a tool you use to shape yourself into the person your life demands. You don't hoard ideas to impress. You internalize them, process them, and let them change you at your core. That's why your intelligence feels alive, fluid, and magnetic. You've never cared about looking smart. You care about becoming capable enough to handle the challenges that most people run from. That requires a mindset that's rare. You digest knowledge, let it alter your decisions, influence your behavior, and reshape your perspective. Your learning isn't superficial. It doesn't sit on the surface like decoration on a shelf. It becomes part of you, part of how you see the world, and part of how you move through it. This is why people are drawn to your ideas. They feel the energy behind them. They aren't just words or rehearsed statements. Your insights resonate because they come from experience, reflection, and transformation. You've lived enough, observed enough, and thought deeply enough for your ideas to carry weight. You create solutions before they are needed, see patterns before they are obvious, and act decisively when others are still debating. That's not luck or natural talent. It's the outcome of using knowledge to evolve instead of decorate. Your intelligence inspires because it's functional, not performative. It builds, it elevates, it transforms. And those who watch you can sense the difference immediately. They see a person who doesn't chase validation or applause, but becomes exactly who their circumstances demand. That's why your brilliance is unforgettable, because it's not borrowed, it's metabolized. Number 11, you're admired because your mind functions like a storm. It clears away illusions others are emotionally attached to. People often tell you that you're different without having the vocabulary to explain what they really mean. What they're trying to express is that your presence disrupts the fog they've been living in. Your thinking has the force of a storm, not destructive, but cleansing. You strip away illusions, wishful thinking, excuses, and all the comfortable narratives people build to avoid the truth. You don't do this by attacking anyone. You do it simply by being honest, observant, and grounded in reality. Many people cling to illusions because those illusions protect their pride, their ego, or the version of themselves they want to believe they are. These illusions become emotional attachments, safety blankets that keep them from confronting uncomfortable truths. When they interact with you, those blankets start slipping off. You say things that align with reality, not fantasy. You point out inconsistencies that others pretend not to see. You bring clarity even when clarity demands accountability. Your mind doesn't entertain fog. You don't get swept up in trends, gossip, delusion, or denial. You naturally pierce through confusion with directness and honesty, and that alone unsettles people who rely on ambiguity to avoid growth. At the same time, it deeply impresses those who crave authenticity, but rarely encounter it. Your ability to cut through noise shows them how much unnecessary weight they've been carrying. People admire you because you help them see what is real, not what they wish was real. Even when your truth feels uncomfortable, it feels clean. It brings a sense of order that many didn't realize they needed. You challenge their illusions without humiliating them, and that takes emotional intelligence and courage. You don't force clarity on anyone, but your presence makes pretending much harder. Your mind storms through confusion and leaves behind honesty, depth, and direction. And even if they never say it outright, people respect you because you free them, sometimes from their fears, sometimes from their illusions, and sometimes from themselves. Number 12, your courage is magnetic because it isn't fueled by ego. It's fueled by alignment. Most people mistake courage for bravado or attention-seeking. They think being courageous means standing out, making noise, or proving themselves to the world. But your courage operates on a completely different level. It doesn't seek applause, validation, or recognition. It moves from alignment, from knowing exactly what your spirit, your purpose, and your truth demand. Your actions are not random acts of boldness. They are deliberate steps rooted in clarity and conviction. That is what makes your courage magnetic. People sense it immediately. They feel the difference between someone acting to be seen and someone acting because they cannot ignore the call within themselves. When you make a decision, it's never to impress anyone or to fit a narrative. It's because your inner compass won't allow you to do otherwise. That kind of courage is rare because it requires trust in oneself, patience, and honesty. The honesty to face the consequences without flinching, and the patience to wait until the timing aligns with reality. Most people compromise in these moments, bending their choices to what's convenient or socially acceptable. You don't. You move in accordance with your alignment, even if the path is lonely, challenging, or misunderstood. People admire you because your moves appear effortless yet precise. They aren't chaotic or impulsive. Every choice feels grounded, intentional, and inevitable. Your courage communicates a quiet authority. You know yourself, you trust yourself, and you are willing to act in ways others are too afraid to attempt. That subtle power draws respect, intrigue, and influence without you ever needing to claim it. What makes your courage magnetic is this: it doesn't demand attention, yet it commands it. It doesn't seek approval, yet it inspires it. It isn't loud, yet it leaves a lasting impression. Your bravery is a reflection of alignment, and alignment is irresistible. People can see that you are not acting for anyone else. You are acting for yourself, and that authenticity radiates in every move you make. Number 13. Your brilliance scares and inspires people because you reveal how much of their life was lived on autopilot. You don't even try to disrupt people. Your existence does it for you. You live with an awareness that most people avoid because it forces them to confront how mechanically they've been moving through life. When they meet you, they're suddenly exposed to a level of intention they didn't know was possible. You are a walking interruption to their unconscious programming. Not because you lecture, not because you correct, but because your presence breaks the spell they've been under. When someone who lives half awake encounters someone who lives fully conscious, the contrast is jarring. You highlight the gaps in their self-awareness without ever pointing a finger. Your choices are deliberate. Your words are intentional. Your mindset is self-authored. Most people have never witnessed that up close, and that's why your brilliance creates a dual reaction. You are the moment their comfort zone cracks. You are the reminder that life isn't supposed to be lived on repeat. You are the shift that forces them to finally question the default settings they've called a life. You don't wake people up with noise. You wake them up with awareness. That is the power that makes your brilliance unforgettable. Number 14. You are admired not because you have the answers, but because you were fearless enough to question the things society told you not to question. Your strength was never built on pretending to know everything. It was built on refusing to accept the world at face value. You never bowed to the accepted truths everyone else swears by. You challenged them, peeled them apart, inspected them, and asked the questions no one else dared to voice. That alone separates you from the crowd, because most people aren't afraid of being wrong. They're afraid of thinking for themselves. Most people are brilliant only within boundaries. They shine as long as the rules are pre-written, the path is approved, and the answers are already known. Their brilliance is conditional. It only exists inside a system someone else created. But you were never satisfied with borrowed intelligence or recycled beliefs. You didn't want the answers fed to you. You wanted the truth, even if it was uncomfortable, unpopular, or inconvenient. You are brilliant because you refused the boundaries entirely. You broke mental fences that others didn't even notice they were living inside. You questioned traditions, expectations, cultural narratives, and anything that felt like an invisible cage. And in doing so, you developed a clarity most people will never experience, because true intelligence isn't memorized. It's discovered. It's carved out by a mind brave enough to wander where others never step. And that's why your courage and intelligence are unforgettable. People feel the difference when they meet someone who isn't subconsciously following a script. Your presence carries a kind of freedom that others didn't know they were missing until they felt it standing in front of them. You remind people that thinking is a choice, questioning is a right, and truth is not something to inherit. It's something to pursue. That's why you stand out. Not because you know everything, but because you dared to ask what no one else would. Conclusion. Your brilliance, courage, and intelligence are not mere traits. They are the living proof of a mind and spirit that refuse to be ordinary. You don't operate on autopilot like the majority of the world. You don't follow patterns just because they exist. You question, you challenge, and you move with a deliberate awareness that most people will never achieve. Every step you take, every decision you make, every thought you act upon is rooted in clarity, alignment, and an unshakable connection to your purpose. That is why people admire you, why they watch you, and why your presence leaves a mark they can't forget. You are not admired because you have all the answers, or because you seek attention. You are admired because you live in a way that exposes truths, challenges illusions, and inspires others to confront the realities they've been avoiding. Your courage is not a show, it's endurance. Your intelligence is not decorative, it's transformative. You don't just navigate life, you redefine it. You reveal the gaps in thinking, the blind spots in awareness, and the limits people unconsciously accepted, all while continuing to rise, evolve, and thrive. Your presence alone reminds the world of what's possible when someone refuses to be constrained by expectations, fear, or convention. This is the essence of a chosen one, someone whose actions and mindset create ripples far beyond what most can see. You challenge, awaken, and inspire simply by living in alignment with your truth. You don't need applause to validate your power because your life itself is the message, and it speaks louder than words ever could. If you resonated with this message, if it ignited that spark of awareness and reflection within you, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to the channel to stay connected with content that challenges, inspires, and empowers. Like this video to support the truth it carries. Comment below with your thoughts, experiences, or realizations. Your perspective matters and can awaken others. And share this video with anyone who needs to see the strength, clarity, and courage that comes from living intentionally. Your growth and awakening aren't just personal, they are contagious. Step into your power and let the world witness it. God bless you.